We're here today to talk about tofu and one of my favorite ways for eating this food, tofu cubes. Now, what I have found as a plant-based health coach is that a lot of people are afraid of trying tofu. And I'll admit that before I started eating it, I was the same way. I had had tofu a little bit in Chinese restaurants and remember it as always being really mushy. That's what I personally didn't like about it. So I was super excited when I found this way of preparing tofu because it's not mushy, which means I like it. In fact, I love this recipe or this way of preparing tofu in cutting it into small cubes. Now, when you cut it into the small cubes, that's nice because then it has a more surface area. And when it bakes up in the oven or in an air fryer, it ends up much more crispy and way less mushy than when I've had it prepared in a lot of restaurants. So if this is you, if you are a little bit afraid of tofu or think you don't like it because it's been mushy, I invite you to give this a try. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how to cut the tofu into cubes. Um, Tofu typically comes in a package like this. I got this one from Trader Joe's, but you can really get it just about anywhere these days. And one thing I found about tofu is it's kind of hard to open. Like I always try to peel it and it just doesn't seem to peel. So if you can get it peeled, more power to you. I find it doesn't work so well for me. So what I do is I just take my knife and I kind of go around the edges, three of the edges, and then peel back the plastic and drain out the extra water. So I'll show you that in a minute. The tofu is like a block in the middle, kind of floating in a little bath of water. So you don't have to worry that you'll cut the tofu as long as you stay right on the edge. So I am going to do my best to show you what I'm talking about. We're going to turn our attention down here to the actual tofu and where the action is going on. So I'm just going to take my knife and you can kind of see I'm just going in around the edges here. I'm not cutting the tofu. I'm going in between the packaging and the tofu itself. And all I'm doing is cutting into liquid. And then I'm going to peel back this top layer. And I want you to watch because you'll see there's quite a bit of liquid in here, which I'm just going to pour off. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Just water pouring off. I don't know if there's like a cup or so in there, maybe a little bit less than that. And then I like to squeeze the tofu a little bit to get any extra liquid out. So I just kind of squeeze it, from all directions, um, just to get a little extra out. Now, I, of course, get asked about tofu cubes a lot, or I mean, tofu presses a lot. And surely you can get a tofu press, but I don't think you need it for all the recipes. And honestly, I wouldn't buy one until you know you like tofu, which I'm hoping you will by the end of this time trying this recipe. But you don't have to run out and get a tofu press. They're not really expensive, maybe $20 or so, but it's not needed. So that's why I just sort of squeeze some of the extra water out and then we're going to go to cutting. Oh, I should say that's also why I buy firm or extra firm tofu because again, I don't like it mushy and secondarily then I don't always have to press it, okay? When you buy silken tofu, there's more water in there and it needs to be pressed a little more. So, okay, we have our block of tofu. We are going to cut this into cubes that are about the size of sugar cubes. So you're gonna just take your knife. What you're gonna find is that tofu cuts so easily. It's not like cutting meat or anything. It's what do they say? Like a warm knife through butter, kind of like that. Like you just are gonna stand it up this direction and cut it and just sort of glide your knife through. I see that wasn't a super straight cut, of course, because it's being videoed. And then I'm going to make another cut. So I've kind of got three slabs here. Okay, I'm going to hold all three slabs together and lay it down. And then I'm going to cut it through the long way of lying down here. And again, I'm just going to cut, cut, cut. You see how easily this cuts. Hopefully you can see without my hand in the way. And again, just kind of like that 1 centimeter size, the size of sugar cubes. You can cut it smaller. I cut some of these a little smaller. because then again, you're gonna have more surface area and it's not gonna be as mushy. So we've got it cut this way and this way. Now we're gonna just turn the whole thing and we're gonna cut it one more time, same size, and you're gonna start seeing the little cubes fall off, okay? So I'm just gonna cut, okay? It couldn't be easier, and you know, when you're not making a video about it, it goes even faster. I can have this made up in, gosh, less than a minute probably, just cutting through all these cubes. And then you've got, I don't know, didn't do math, but like 100, more than 100 little cubes of tofu, which then I just put into a bowl and mix with a few different ingredients, and then I bake it up in the oven. You're probably wondering what those few different ingredients are. I have recipes for tofu pancetta, for tofu paneer, and probably my favorite recipe is for extra crispy baked tofu. I just take one block of tofu, which I think is a pretty standard size. This is 14 ounces. Take the one block of tofu, add a tablespoon of cornstarch, a half teaspoon of olive oil, and a tablespoon and a half of soy sauce, or if you don't eat soy sauce, tamari or liquid aminos or something like that. Stir it all up, dump it out on parchment, bake it up at 400 degrees for 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how mushy or crispy you like it. And then usually halfway through or a couple times as it's baking, I sort of push the tofu cubes around so that they all get crispy. Because I think we've established one thing here, and that's like that I don't like my tofu mushy, right? But yeah, I have made this for events. And in fact, I had an event last week, and I will tell you, I brought samples of tofu cubes and my really good vegan chocolate chip cookies. The tofu went faster than the cookies. No one was more surprised than me, but I was super excited to see people wanted to try it. I got rave reviews, and people asked for the recipe, which I basically just shared with you there. So, all right, that is how to cut tofu into cubes. And I hope you enjoy this way of eating tofu as much as I do. Bye for now.